Hello everybody, very good evening to one and all. Welcome to StudyIQ IAS English. Myself Abhishek Singh and I welcome you all in this lecture today where we are going to talk about the cultural developments which took place during the postmodern period. So dear students, in this session we will be discussing about certain features which were introduced in our cultural journey as an ancient civilization by those Central Asian adventurers who had adventured into our land, our country, but later on they got assimilated here and contributed in various ways, either through the cultural or through the linguistics or through any other means which was possible for them. So very good evening Sarvendra and Aisha, Mantasha, very good evening to all of you. And let us get started first of all, but let me tell you one important thing that here, in case if you are thinking to start your preparation, so you have got this great opportunity to start your preparations with StudyIQ IAS with the new batches which are going to start for the morning, that is 8 a.m. batch, and here you can enroll yourself using this code ASR live at rupees 29,999. Given that if you are having all these benefits, I think this is a great opportunity for everybody to get enrolled. For further details, you can check the comment section and also you can download the application for more details now. So let us focus now on the topic here. So the new elements in the Indian society. So first of all, when we are talking about the new elements in the Indian society, as you can see these coins, okay. In these coins here, on the one side there is the image of the Kushana ruler, or similarly the similar type of coins were also made for the Indo-Greek rulers. These are basically the golden coins made by the Kushanas, and here you can see the presence of Lord Shiva, presence of Buddha along with the lotus, presence of the god of sun, okay, the god of sun. Basically what does it indicate? It indicates the acceptance of the local identities and the features of the Indian subcontinent, So basically when the Kushanas entered into our lands, they had their no significant cultural identity, they had their no significant religious connections, or they had their no particular identity in the socio-economic aspect either. However, when they got established in the Indian subcontinent as the ruling dynasty, as the ruling elite, then definitely there must have been some efforts from the sides of the Kushanas or from the sides of the Shakas, that is Scythians, or even the Indo-Greeks or Parthians or Sasanians, any particular ruling elite whosoever, right, they might have settled in the subcontinent, but we all are aware that without the social acceptability, it is extremely difficult for any dynasty to continue ruling for a long period of time. So therefore, it was essential to accept them or to embrace them into our fourfold Varna system, despite having no connection with the contemporary Varna based society. So what would have been the solution to that? So the solution was basically the element, right, the addition of new social classes into the Indian society, So remember that the advents of the Central Asian tribes will become a turning point in the historical composition of the Indian society, where we will witness the change in the composition by two different modes. Good evening, Chippy. So, which are those two different modes, by the way? The first mode would be the inclusion of the outsiders as the Vratya, right, as the Vratya Kshatriyas. So if you remember in one of the previous lectures, I had already discussed with you that the Brahmanical priests, they were accepting the adventing tribes into the fourfold Varna system, and that acceptance came under the two different categories. The first category, which consisted of the ruling classes, elites, already, right, or some landlords were there, or the higher placed commanders of the armies. They all were inculcated into the Vratya Kshatriya category. What is the meaning of the Vratya Kshatriya category? Remember, this term is very, very crucial, right? Manu, of the fame of this Manu Smriti, right, he tells that the Vratya Kshatriyas are those Kshatriyas who were actually Kshatriyas only, but they were simply deviated away from the conventional duties and the responsibilities bestowed upon the Kshatriyas under the Shastras, which clearly means what? Which clearly means that these were basically given the excused entry into the Varna system by the lawmakers of those times. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Now, so here, Vratya Kshatriyas, I hope you got the meaning here. This could be a very, very important term for your upcoming examination. Similarly, there is another term which is very crucial to understand, that is the Anirvasit. Okay, the Anirvasit. What is the meaning of the Anirvasit? Now, this term Anirvasit is conventionally understood as the group of those people who might be untouchables. However, remember one point, that in the Indian historical context, all the foreigners coming from the northwest, they have been mentioned as Yavan. Okay, everyone. So here, among all the Yavanas, or among all the foreigners who were coming from the northwest, they were basically categorized into two parts, as I told you. One was the ruling elite who were inducted into the ruling elites of the fourfold Varna system, that is Kshatriyas. The other section was regarded as amongst the lower segment of the society, amongst the lowest strata of the society, because neither were they the landlords nor were they the ruling elites. They were simply the artisans or the other professionals who might have come along as the part of the army coming along with the Kushanas or the Indo-Greeks or the Shakas, etc. So naturally they had to settle here. With the comparatively subordinate categories of the society, comparatively lower strata in the society. This is why they were given the status of the Shudras, or even lower than the Shudras, because they were the Mlech. What is the meaning of the Mlech? This term is again very, very important. Yavan means the Greeks, right? But the term Mlech, okay, Mlecha. This term Mlecha is basically used to indicate the lowly origin of the foreigners. Basically, those foreigners who would be considered as of the low origins and not suitable to be inducted amongst the fourfold Varna based society. Okay everyone, so here the term mleccha will be indicating those lowest category people who would be inducted into our society. Alright everyone, so I hope you got the idea about the Vratya. Who was the Vratya? Vratya was basically the accepted group of the outsiders as Kshatriyas. Who were the Anirvasit? The socially discarded group of the outsider adventurers who were simply termed as the Mlechchas, and they were not given any position in our fourfold Varna system. Alright everyone, now moving further, okay, moving further here. So first of all, religious developments, right? If I am talking about the religious developments during the adventurer period by the Central Asian invaders, here you can say that they had adopted dearly the both heavily popular religions in India, that is Buddhism as well as the Brahmanism. Why not Jainism? Because Jainism was not that much greatly popular during this time period, but Buddhism was extremely popular, followed by the Brahmanical culture, that was basically a combination of the Shaivism, Vaishnavism, Shaktism, etc. Okay. Which are the evidences? Which are the evidences, or what are the evidences of that? Basically, the text like Milind Panho, that indicates the acceptance of the Indo-Greek ruler Menander. Right? He accepted the Buddhism. Under the influence of the teacher whose name was Nagsen. Okay, Nagsen. Nagsena had connection with the Amaravati, okay, in the southern or Deccan, right? So basically, Milind Panho or the Gandhara art or the Mathura art, these all became symbolic, right? They became symbolics which indicated the connection of the Central Asian adventurers as the ones who accepted the Indic traditions of the Buddhism and the Brahmanism. Similarly, if we observe their coins, okay, their coins also had the images of Buddha, Shiva, Lakshmi and several other deities who were considered reverent into the Brahmanical culture or into the Buddhist culture. For example, the moon god, that is represented through the crescent, or the sun god represented through the different rays of the circular structure, right? Similarly, we have the evidences of the stupas constructed by Kanishk, constructed by Menander, and there is also the evidence that the rulers like Kushanas and the Shakas, they had accepted the Bhagavatism or they had accepted the Vaishnavism and Shaivism, etc. How can we say that? We have this example, right? Heliodorus pillar. Heliodorus was basically an Indo-Greek ambassador at the court of the ruler of Vidisha, basically the Shungas there, and he had erected a Bhagavat pillar called as the Garud pillar sometimes, and that pillar was erected at the place called Vidisha in Madhya Pradesh. The old name is Besnagar. Not only that, remember one more point, that is the construction of the Dev Kulas. Okay, construction of the Dev Kula. Okay, Dev Kulas. What is the meaning of the Dev Kulas? The Dev Kulas were basically the small temple-like structure, okay, small temple-like structures dedicated to the ancestral deities deities. Okay, everyone. So you all might be aware about one thing. Everybody must be aware about one thing, that in the Hindus today, we have the tradition of worshipping our ancestors. We have the tradition of making small house of worship for our ancestors, for our Kul Devatas or Kul Devis. Remember that. This is a very common tradition amongst the rural people in India. Mostly, I will not say in the northern India, but almost throughout the country, this is a very common practice. Yes or no, everyone? Even this practice was also accepted by the Kushana rulers. They also started constructing the small chambers dedicated to their ancestors, whom they considered worthy of the worship. And that structure was known as Devakula, which means the abode of the deity, or the shelter or the house of the deity, which indicated that they had probably initiated the construction of such structures, which would be later on developed as the temples during the Gupta period. Okay, everybody. So we have a lot of evidences that Kushanas and the Shakas, these two dynasties had been most widely indigenized, and they had been most widely accepted under this social structure and social frame of our country. Now, moving further, if we try to understand about one more thing, here, so we can have the clear-cut example of the Gandhar and Mathura school of arts. All right, everyone. In the Gandhar and Mathura school of arts here, just a second, guys. I think it is not working right. Okay. All right, now it's working now. So here, Gandhar and Mathura school of arts, about which I am talking here, we might have heard, even we might have read in the NCERT, that Gandhar and Mathura school both, they developed during the rule of Kanishk. However, any type of art, any type of architecture that does not develop in a single day, that takes a lot of time. And here also, since the advent of Indo-Greeks, followed by Shakas, followed by Parthians, by Kushanas, since the advent of the Central Asian conquerors, the features related to the art and culture of the Central Asia, those features also arrived to India. Okay, and here the result of the synthesis of those features with the indigenous features resulted into the construction of beautiful sculptures and monuments, the example of which we find in the Gandhara art. Okay, everyone. For example, if we compare the Gandhar art and the indigenous Mathura art on the basis of these 5 pointers, that is the region, influence, material used, appearance, features, and the religious connections, then we can have a very clear picture that how did the external influence affected our indigenous arts. So here, if I talk about the Gandhara art, one thing is very clear, that Gandhara art developed in the northwestern parts of the subcontinent, that is mainly leading to the northern Afghanistan, Pakistan, and certain parts of the Punjab region. So basically the northwestern corridors of Indian subcontinent, they saw the development of the Gandhar school of art. Okay, the center of that art was Gandhar, no doubt, having the capital at Takshila. Okay. Now, if I am talking about the influence of the, influence over this particular art, then we can say that this particular art was influenced by the Hellenistic and Central Asian features. Hellenistic and Central Asian features. What is the significance of this two? First of all, if I am talking about the Hellenistic features, that means it was influenced by the Greco-Roman style of the sculpture art, where the sculptors used to make this type of sculpture to indicate their outer beauty. Hellenistic is the term which indicates the meaning of the related to Greece. Okay. So if anything is related to Greece, it is called as Hellenistic, influenced by the deity of Greece. Okay, you might have heard about the goddess of Greece. She was called Helena. So Helena directly relates to the Greece or the Greek culture. When anything is influenced by the Greek culture, it is called as the Hellenistic influence. Okay. So here Hellenistic pattern basically affected the Gandhar style. Not only Hellenistic but also the Central Asian features were there. If we observe this sculpture very clearly, we can have one thing that when we say the Hellenistic feature, it becomes very much clear to understand the appearance, because as per the Greek tradition, Buddha is shown here as a permanently young man with a lean and muscular body, with the broad shoulders and well sculpted, well toned muscles in his body. Apart from that, you will see a very sharp jawline and very sharp and straight nose is there. Extremely balanced and bow-shaped eyebrows are there. Not only that, you will also find the presence of a moustache, or sometimes the moustache is not there. However, still you will see the young appearance in the face of Buddha or the Bodhisattvas who are sculpted here. Not only that, you will see the drapery of Buddha, the drapery, that is the body cloth of Buddha, that is having extremely thin appearance, very thin and transparent appearance, and such that it is not covering at least one shoulder of the body. Apart from that, you will also observe the curly hair with the proper urn, okay, the proper urn here, right? And if I am talking about the locks are obviously curly, but at the same time, in certain sculptures, you will also find the features like beaded locks. Guys, remember the beaded locks, they are sometimes considered to be not the locks but the snails which are walking on the head of Lord Buddha. That pattern is basically a Central Asian influence on the Gandhara school of art. Okay, everyone. Apart from that, if you see, there is a central part in the face itself where there is a small round structure that's called Arna. Okay. That structure is again believed to be a Central Asian features. Initially it was not present in the Indic traditions. However, influenced from the Central Asia, this came to be accepted as a part of the Indian tradition also, and currently you will observe that people mostly in the priestly classes, they put a round shape spot into their forehead, which was not present initially or not present prior to this tradition of sculpture. All right, everyone. So I hope that you got a clear idea about the presence of Hellenistic and presence of the Central Asian features. Apart from that, you can see this halo. Okay, halo is basically a circle of the aura of the person is shown with the help of a circle or a disc of light, a disc of light. So this circular disc shape structure is called as halo. But historians are not unanimous, right? They are not unanimous on the, you can say, right, they are not unanimous on the point of this circular disc, because some of the historians, mostly the European scholars, they claim that this circular disc is a concept of halo that is taken from the Hellenistic tradition. However, the other historians who consider that Mathura art is completely indigenous in its components, even this also showcases the presence of a decorated form of the halo, which is quite you can say confusing, because if the halo is a Hellenistic feature, then there must be some influence of the Hellenistic art or Hellenistic features even in the Mathura style. But very often we come across the information, even NCERT also suggests that there is no external influence on the Mathura style of art, right, Mathura style of art. Okay, everyone. So this is why we can say that these are the combination, these are the combination of the Hellenistic as well as the Indian as well as the Central Asian features. Now, can somebody tell me in the comment box that what are or which are the Indian features present in the Gandhar school of art? Anybody? Anybody can try to tell me the answer, the indigenous features or the local features found in the Gandhara school of art. Try to tell the answer this, right? Try to tell the answer of this. So here if you can see the entire dress, the get-up itself is influenced by the Indian style. Apart from that, the sitting posture, this is called as Padmasan. This is called as Padmasan. This is also influenced by the Indic style or the Indian feature. Apart from that, the style of the lock, basically the making the lock on the center head, that is called as again the Indian style. Apart from that, the mudra, right, basically Dhamma Chakra Pravartan mudra, basically that is holding his hands into the another hand, that is basically known as the mudra, and mudras are also the indigenous features or the local features. Apart from that, can you see the presence of a lotus as the seat of Lord Buddha? That is also the indigenous or the local feature. Can you see the Lord Buddha meditating with the half eyes open and half eye is closed? That is again Dhyana Mudra, feature of the indigenous style or the local style. Okay. Apart from that, you can also witness the presence of the line. You can see, guys, here there is a central line on his chin. If it is not visible here in the picture, it is actually there. That is also a feature of the Indic style of statues. Okay. Here you will also see the similar type of line on the chin in the Mathura style. The Arna that is found here, it is also found here as well. Okay, here as well. So Arna is predominantly considered to be Indic feature. However, certain historians claim it to be a Central Asian feature. Alright. I hope that everybody got a clear idea about the Gandhar style of art, which is representing the figures related to only the Buddhism. Okay, everyone, remember. Now here if I am talking about the Mathura style, that is a completely indigenous and present in the areas surrounding the central India Mathura region. It is using the red sandstone or the spotted red sandstone and shows the images of Buddha, Mahavir Swami, or even other deities like Sankarshan or the goddess Shakti. Any of the sculptures which are visible in the Mathura style, they are shown with a mixed appearance. Some of them are bald, some of them are plump, some of them are muscular, some of them are very much thin like skeleton. That is the feature of the Mathura style, which means that it is comparatively more realistic rather than the idealist portrayal of the Gandhar style. Is it okay, everyone? And similarly, as I told you that this Mathura school of art is actually related to not only Buddhism but also to the Jainism as well as Brahmanism. Here you can see a sculpture, and this sculpture, that sculpture is basically found from Mathura only, and here you can see the presence of flying deities, the flying angels. Okay, you can see the presence of the vegetative plants and branches. You can see the floral decoration. You can see the thick drapery, comparatively thicker drapery. However, the drapery is particularly more transparent over the area of the body. It looks like there is nothing on the body. Here you can see the deities standing in the side of the sculpture, right? So you can say that in comparison with the Gandhara school of art, Mathura school of art appears to be more rich, more vividly carved and more lively in the appearance, whereas Gandhar school is very simple, extremely sober and relatively devoid of any type of you can say encarvings or any type of encarvings or extra decorations. Here they are completely absent. Okay, hello Yelalinga, how are you? So guys, I hope that you got a clear idea that all these features developed during the time period of post-modern age, when the Shakas and Kushanas etc. were ruling most of the northern as well as the north central parts of the country. Okay, everyone. Now moving further, language, literature and learning. So talking about the language, literature and learning here, see, first of all, the diversity of the empire of the Kushanas and the Shakas, of course, that prompted them, that actually led them or forced them to accept the diversified culture, diversified language as well as the diversified art forms in the entire region. Not only that, they also issued the inscriptions, they also issued the coins, they issued the royal orders. All of these were issued in the multiple languages. Okay, the inscriptions like Bazaar or Raptek, or inscriptions like Peshawar inscription or Sakal inscription, these all inscriptions, they are related to the Central Asian dynasties. In fact, coming further southwards, in Gujarat also you will find the inscription that was written by the Shaka ruler Rudradaman first, right? So you can say one thing, that the languages and the scripts present on the inscriptions of the Kushanas or Shakas, or on the coins of the Kushanas or Shakas, those tell us that they were quite receptive towards the native culture, particularly towards the native languages and the native deities also. For example, here you can see that the Kushanas had issued the texts in the Bactrian, in the Greek script, in the Prakrit, or written in the Brahmi or the Kharoshthi script. So basically the language was whichever language prevalent in their area, and the script was whichever script prevalent in those areas. Alright, not only that, the most important script is basically the Rabtak inscription that established the Kanishka's genealogy, with Kajula Kadphises, Vima Takto or Vima Kadphises being named as his immediate ancestors. Good evening, Bulbul Gupta ji. Apart from that, you can also understand the significance of their arts etc. with the help of this picture. You can see the very clear influence of the Greek and Persian arts. When you observe them, it appears quite influenced from the Greek, having the muscular calves as well as the pillar which is represented here that imitates the Persian pillars. Okay, imitates the Persian pillars. Not only that, this tradition of representing the slab of the art, that itself is taken from the Greek as well as the Indic tradition. However, let me tell you that in the Indic tradition, this system of representing the art will be developing later on, but the Greeks were using it since the beginning, which means the Shakas had adopted this feature from the Greek rulers. Which feature? The representation of any art form in a slab-like structure, in a slab-like stone structure. Doesn't it look like a miniature sculpture where in a small area the number of people, the number of sculptures are shown together? Something very similar to the miniature paintings, isn't it? So we can say here that the various features which we have adopted as the part of our culture, like the use of the trousers, tunics, okay, then straight sword as the weapons, or the long tunics, okay, the long tunics, all right, and the long boots, all these attires which have become the part of our culture, sherwani, the long kurtas, the tunics, okay, the tunics or the trousers and the salwars, or the shoes which are as high as up to the knees, okay, the gladiator shoes, etc. Those things we have taken up from the Central Asian adventurers, okay, from Central Asian adventurers. Got it? Similarly, our swords used to be like that. Okay. So this used to be our swords. However, if we are using the swords like this, okay, the swords like this type of swords actually belonged to the Central Asian adventurers. Got it, everyone? Even if we are talking about the saddles, saddles used on the horseback, okay, even that is also taken from the Central Asian, right, Central Asian adventurers, okay, Central Asian adventurers. So we can say that there are lots and lots of things that we have actually adopted as our culture, but they were originally the part of the culture of the Central Asian adventurers. All right, everyone. Similarly, if you see the stone palettes, so the numerous stone palettes found in the Gandhar, they are considered as the good representatives of the Indo-Scythian arts, and they combine the Greek and the Iranian influences, and they are very simple and archaic, that means very old in the style, very simple and very old in their style. Okay, so here you can see the Greek dress, okay, Greek dresses or the Parthian dresses, or sometimes the Indo-Scythian dresses present here. You can see here the half dresses, or sometimes the wrap arounds which are very much common in the Greek culture. Okay, so these palettes are present currently in the New Delhi Museum, right, in the New Delhi Museum, and originally found in the Sarkap. Okay, everyone. So here we can say one thing, that sometimes the mythological Persian stories are also depicted here, like the horseman riding the winged deer or attacked by a lion. So these things are basically the part of the Persian folk tales, not in India. Not in India. Apart from that, in the NCERT, we have got few terminologies which are very important to be understood for the purpose of examination here. For example, Avadan. Avadan is what? Avadan is actually the story and the history. Okay, so basically the literature which deals with the story and the history, that is called as Avadan. For example, Divya Avadan or Ashoka Avadan, which means the history and the story of Ashoka, okay, like that. Then we have this term called Yavanika. What is the meaning of Yavanika? Yavanika is basically a curtain, okay, curtain, parda or curtain. So when we are using the curtains in the stage show or the dramas or even in our houses to cover the view, then we have taken this term. Sanskrit term Yavanika is actually taken from the term called Yavan, which is used to indicate the Greeks, but commonly used for any foreigner who was coming from the northwestern sides. Okay. What is the meaning of Yavanpriya? Yavanpriya is basically the black pepper. The black pepper. Okay. That is a Yavanpriya, black pepper. Alright everyone. So here we can say, that even the black pepper was the favorite of the Greeks, because they usually consumed it in higher quantities. So therefore they purchased it in the higher quantities. That is why it was called Yavanpriya. What is the meaning of the Nagarak? Okay, Nagarak or Nagaraka, basically the in charge of the municipal body in the post-Mauryan period. Okay, so remember that the concept of the city states, that is connected to the Greeks, city states. In India also we will start witnessing the concept of the city heads. Till now in India we had the concept of the head of the state or head of the villages, but after the adventure of Central Asians, then we will start having the concept of the Nagaraka, right? Nagaraka, who will be acting as the municipal head of a particular urban settlement. Usually he will be a trader. In the upcoming Gupta period, we will see the positions like Nagar Shreshthi or the Sar Sarthwah. Such type of positions will be inspired from the Nagaraka. Remember that. Then Hora Shastra. What is the meaning of the Hora Shastra? Hora Shastra was relatively a new type of pseudoscience. I will not say it as a science, but new type of the pseudoscience related to the astrology. Okay, the science of the astrology. Guys, remember that astrology is basically the Greek, right? It is having the Greek influence, because in India we had the astronomy, not astrology, but from the contacts with the Greeks we got the astrology, and they took from us astronomy. Remember that the Hora Shastra, the best possible literature which is written on the Hora Shastra, that will be called as Panch Siddhantika. Okay everyone, and this Panch Siddhantika, this will be written during the Gupta period. Alright, tell me in the comment box that who was the writer of Panch Siddhantika. Right, he is a very famous scholar of the Gupta period. Alright everyone. Then there is another term called as a Drakshma. Drakshma basically means the drama. In the Greek language, it was called drachma or dakshma in Sanskrit, and remember later on it will become drishya, and then it will become the drama or dramatics. So basically the Indian dramatics is highly influenced from the Greek presentations, from the Greek connotations as well as the Greek symbols. Okay everyone, so that is related to certain important terminologies which were influenced during the adventing period of the Central Asian rulers into the Indian subcontinent. Alright everyone, so I hope that this has made enough sense to everybody. Please don't forget to revise this lecture once again, and also if you have not subscribed to our channel, please hit the subscribe button here and also hit the bell icon so that you can get the notification of each and every class here. And in case if you are interested in kick-starting your preparation for 2024 Civil Services examination, then this is the right time for getting enrolled in our morning batches starting from the 11th of August. And let me tell you one thing, that in this batch you are going to get all the required things, facilities which are essential for clearing the examination, such as the detailed notes, syllabus coverage and each and everything else related to the prelims or the mains purpose. So do not delay it. Use this code ASR Live to get yourself enrolled in the medium of your choice, and the cost of this course is very minimal if you are using my code ASR Live. So guys, thank you so much. Let's meet tomorrow on 4 p.m. sharp. Till then, have a great day ahead. Thanks a lot and bye-bye. Jai Hind.